Today we're talking about games. And so what you see on this screen is the screen I see on my iPhone when I go to games. And then a whole series of the games that I do a lot, which are the New York Times games. And so some of those you see over on the right. But as we looked at it, there are a whole lot of categories for games. And so there's basically games for everybody. And Ann and I found we play different games. So I tend to play word games, maybe a few card games, different types of puzzles. I tend to do the math puzzles where Ann does a different type. There's brain teasing and board. You can read all of the things here, and we're going to have this handout for you afterwards, but we're going to go through some of these types of games. Now, the first type of game that I really enjoy and I play daily is Wordle.
Yes.
And so others of you play Wordle as well?
Yes. Yeah.
And so here, actually, let me go into New York Times games, and then I'm going to pick Wordle. Okay, well, I did last night's Wordle. So back to the puzzle. So I tend to pick this first word always the same and then go on from there. And so I have a couple of words that I use regularly because in fact they are high frequency words. You get a lot of bang for your buck. There are more letters that have T's and R's in them than there are that have Q's in them, for example.
Huh.
And so by doing toner, daily, chump, which are, I either do toner and dials or daily. And then depending on what I've done there, if I know that the A is already there, I may do champ instead of chump, but something like that. But that's sort of the way I do a Wordle. How about the rest of you who do it? Do you have a process you follow?
I try to start with a word with as many vowels in it as I can think of that day. And I always write down all the vowels before I start. And as I knock them off as being ineligible, I cross them off. So I always know which vowels I'm missing. And I go a long time before I don't get the Wordle that day.
Okay.
It seems to work, but I do use different words depending on my mood.
Okay. That's Wordle. And another one that's very much like it is Hurdle. But I'm going to go back to screen connections, and spelling bee are another two that I tend to do. With connections, it's very interesting because it gives you a grid of I guess it's 16 words, and you have to come up with the groups. But once I've done it for the day, I can't do it again. So this is just an example of one of them. And it's interesting because Walt and I do it kind of together and try to see who gets it first. And then spelling bee, it gives you 7 letters that you work with each day. Spelling bee. This is today's words.
Wow.
And you have these letters, the C, the T, they all have T in them. And then you try to come up with any other words that have at least 4 letters. And so probably when I look at the order that I did them in, these are the last 5 words till I got to Queen Bee. And the pangram, or the thing that's in bold, is one that uses all the letters. And there's usually one of those.
So you can use the letter more than once.
Oh, yes.
In the word.
To cottonmouth. And here, like uncouth. Yeah. But it's interesting. Sometimes the 4-letter words are some of the last ones I got. So the last one that I got there was tout, I think. Yeah, tout and toot and tune were my last three words till I got to Queen Bee today. And
So
then
the higher the score, I mean, what's the minimum score that will?
oh, if you get one word, you'll get
Okay.
something. And there's a point at which you get to genius. If I go here to rankings, okay. If it 88 points is points, some words are worth more than other words.
Okay.
But you start with none, then a good start, moving up. You know, they try to incentivize you to keep going.
Okay, so Queen Bee is pretty good.
Queen Bee is the highest you can get.
Okay.
And if you have any trouble getting the words, you can go into hints. And this will give you a grid of actually what words there are, 2 letters. So I know that there's only one word that begins with NO, for instance, and it's a 5-letter word. So
Do you have to have a New York Times subscription to use their games?
you can start out for free, and then you can get a game subscription. It's a lot cheaper than the newspaper subscription. But yes, yeah, if you become reasonably addicted to it, you do need a game subscription.
Okay.
Here is the Spelling Bee Buddy. And so after 9 in the morning, which is usually fine for me, I can go in and see, well, I've done them all, but there are clues by word if I keep working my way down. So if I went to the C's, for instance, the clue, put the lime into coconut, assemble, mix into recipe or story, gives you concoct. And so a fabric is cotton. So it gives you clues to get the words too. So it makes life much simpler. Okay, so and then there are card games. How many of you play Free Cell or a solitaire game? Is that you know, it's solitaire whether you play it with cards, real cards, or online. And there are a lot of other card games that you can also play, but Free Cell is the one I tend to do a lot. And I noticed that was very popular with the people who were in the Brookside Classroom 1. Puzzle games. Now, I do Sudoku and Ken-Ken. I can show you Ken-Ken. Ken-Ken, you can play very complicated or pretty easy. This is a 3x3 grid. And what I want it to do is to be a 1, 2, 3 in each direction. And I know that there's a 2 here, since this is a single. These are nice because they tells you that's the only thing it can be. This is going to be 3x2 or 2x1 because it ends up with the result of -2. But this has to be a 2. Let's see if I can. This has to be a 2 because, in fact, there's already a 2 on the right side. So this would be a 3x2, gives you the result of -1. So then if that's the case, then this at the top would have to be a 2. So that would have to be a 3. And so this is a 3 times in these 3 things. So there's going to be a 3 here. And so these would each be a 1. And so that's how you do Ken-Ken. I do Sudoku from inside the New York Times. So if I go here and I go over, here's one of the ones. You can get the game a number of ways. So this is today's. I've already done it, but it adds up 1 through 9 in each of the squares, and then all the way across and all the way down, and then each of the squares. So that's how Sudoku works. Share her screen. And I think she probably has it a little more better organized than I do.
Well, not necessarily.
We'll see.
Now, puzzles, I'm impressed that Hope is using, to me, puzzles that require a lot of brain thinking for her relaxation. Now, my
Yes.
mind goes a little differently. I want easy and fun that
Yes.
doesn't
Mine
take
are fun.
thinking. But see, your mind works a little differently than mine. So jigsaw puzzles, I go into kind of phases with my games. I will play one type of game over and over again for maybe a month or two, and then I get tired of it and then go on to a different sort. Now, jigsaw puzzles, I find very relaxing watching television or just hanging out in the evening. And these are screenshots from one of the puzzle games. Most of the ones you can download are free, and they'll have in-application purchases. So you can keep it free by playing the puzzle of the day. The second photo here shows you can manipulate or change the number of pieces you have from 25 up to over 200. The more pieces, of course, the harder it is. 99 is a good round number that I like. And you can also adjust how you're going to play. You can get out all the end pieces. You can have the photo show up, and it's like playing a real puzzle, only it's done with digital. Another relaxing way to spend the evening is doing coloring games, and there's a whole variety. Many are free, but many have the in-app purchases. And you can see the example here for the coloring book for adults.
I'm still seeing the jigsaw puzzles. Okay, there. Okay.
Did it come up?
Yes.
Okay. You can see here, it just says get, which means it might be free. And many puzzle coloring games will also have a package of free puzzles, and then you have to pay if you want to keep at it with more options. But it is kind of fun to just, tap on the screen with your finger or your stylus or your Apple Pencil to fill in places. Has anybody done actual real live coloring books with pencils and paper? I know it's been real popular a couple of years ago for adult coloring books. The next one are brain teasers. Now, Luminosity is kind of the grandfather of brain teaser applications or brain training. And that is a fee structure. I think there are some options to have a free trial. And Peak is another brain training. They have a free version and then a pro version. I was playing around with Peak this morning just to see what it was like. And Elevate and the CogniFit are similar. They offer maybe they call it gamification. So there's games that you play to work on your memory, speed, problem solving. There's a whole variety of activities supposedly designed based on research. And one article I read from the Mayo Clinic said that there's no strong evidence either way, although the developers of the game like to say there are benefits. But again, watching Hope with some of the word games, some of the activities in these brain training apps are not dissimilar in terms of word matching and how fast you can recognize things. The strategy games, I started out game playing using Bejeweled and also the 2048 game, which is a matching, adding the numbers so you get higher numbers up to 2048. Some of these games are available online. If you just go look for free online games, the equivalent can also be played online using your computer. And some of the games are designed for the iPad, and most of them are for the phone, but a lot of the phone apps do work very well on the iPad also. This is my category, the match 3. Candy Crush, of course, is kind of the one you hear most about. In fact, they even had a TV show called Candy Crush. You're matching to get 3 colors. When you get 3 colors, the balloons or the bubbles or whatever will pop away. Now, my personal favorite is Farm Bubbles. Tell you how addicted I am to Farm Bubbles. I was up to level 7,020 something. There was an upgrade for the app, but it froze. The upgrade would not happen. And this is about the time I had upgraded my operating system. So when I finally got it to work again, all my levels, I was back to 0.
Oh,
So this was a couple weeks ago, but I am back to 800 and something.
Wow.
So I played a lot. That's what I do in the evening watching television, is I play Farm
Yeah.
Bubbles. Well, I find just breaking bubbles and getting to different levels relaxing.
Relaxing.
While Hope is doing these hard word games, coming up with 130 words to get to be Queen Bee. I'll never get there, Hope. Never.
Yeah.
And then we have the trivia and quiz games. I've tried some of these just for fun, but some do, when you want to get past a certain level, you have to pay money. Anybody playing these kind of quiz games on, they've kind of
I've tried the
replicated
Jeopardy.
the TV shows. Yeah, Millionaire, I played that on my phone. Games, I haven't gotten into those, but you build a village. Some of the Farm Bubbles, if you lose a level and you want to get to the next level, you'll have to watch an ad, and there's
Yeah.
a lot of ads for these kind of games.
Yeah, I was going to say Township is one of those ads that I have watched through.
And the other one that there's a lot of ads for is Royal Match with the King. Help me, help me. Now, these relaxation and meditation games, Free Flow at the lower levels is very relaxing. But when you start to get 9 or 10 different dots to figure out how to use, to me, they can get a little.
Yeah, I'm on the lower level on this one.
Yeah. And this app is free if you stick with the levels that are available. And they usually have like a daily level that you can try. And they do start easy and they can go up to very hard. The coloring book again. Now, Calm and Headspace are both actual meditation apps. And they both cost money now. Headspace I tried for about a year and I found it very helpful, but then I wasn't willing to pay the $100 a year for the subscription. Board games, this is like the games we used to play as kids have come to life in a digital way, and they're quite popular among people. Rummikub, I was surprised to see even as a digital app, and it plays just like Rummikub. If you're playing with other people, you can play against the computer, and it's with a time limit, so that's kind of fun. Can be a little anxiety producing also.
Mhm.
And also, I know, Walt, do you still participate in the Apple Arcade subscription, Hope?
Yes, we do, because it's all part of the what we wanted to get for the iCloud storage space.
Yeah.
So it's all part of the Apple One. And I saw in the news yesterday that the pricing is going up for all of these.
Now, I found for my own use, I had a free subscription for the arcade for 30 days after I bought some Apple product. And I found I'm not an arcade game player, never have been.
Yep.
So that wasn't my cup of tea. Now the gambling apps are interesting. Some are free and there's no money involved, but also some that are actually apps where there is actual betting. And I was reading an article about that. You want to make sure that there's proper encryption if you're spending money. But I would be concerned if there's any kind of gambling addiction tendencies. This could be, a problem for some people, but that's not my cup of tea either. Now, this time management as a category for a game, I think is interesting in that you are kind of racing against time to complete activities. And some are kind of related to cooking or kitchen activities. But the one that I have played in the past that was very popular a few years ago is, Plants versus Zombies. Use plants to try to keep the zombies from advancing to your house. It is entertaining, and you get and of course it's all kind of time based. If you don't get it done in time, the zombies take over or the food falls on the floor. Kind of like the Lucille Ball episode where they're trying to package candy and they end up stuffing their faces trying to keep the assembly line from going off the rails. Social games, Words with Friends has been very, very popular over the years. Some of these games kind of go through a kind of a flash in the pan situation where they're very popular. That's all people are talking about. And then they kind of fade away. I have never been a Word for Friends person. Again, like Scrabble and some of these other games, it requires you to think too much. The question gets to be, well, okay, are you going to just play the games that are free? And those are supported by ads, which can be very annoying. In fact, I think sometimes they have too many ads. There might be 2 or 3 before you can get to the next level. And that's where people start spending money. They decide I need to get to the new level or get unstuck no matter what, and then they will pay 99 cents to get the little power-ups that you need. The paid games, though, some might just be $1.99 or a couple bucks. You won't have the ads, and usually they might be better quality. And it's one way to support the small developers. And the free trials are a good way to see if you like the game. But I would recommend that you put the date that you need to unsubscribe or cancel in your calendar so you make sure you don't miss that deadline. And the way you can tell if there's going to be money involved is you'll see this get, and next to that it'll say in-app purchases. And I would recommend that you look at the reviews for games to see what kind of fee structure there is. And then finally, games can be addictive. And, if you get in the routine of starting to play games, I found this quote interesting from an assistant professor of psychology. And I do have the link to the article talking about how games can be addicting. And they're really designed to make you not want to put it down. And it's designed to stimulate the reward pathway in your brain. And that's why you find yourself, TikTok does the same thing. You get kind of, you don't realize an hour has passed and comes up on your screen. You've spent 30 minutes here. Do you think it's time to give your brain a rest? So that's something you might have to be careful of. And if you read articles about people that have disturbed sleep, they might be playing games in bed before they go to sleep, and that would probably be the worst thing you want to do, because you get. So that's our little take on games.